please press your microphone, which will turn green. The Chair will invite you to speak one at a time. Please wait until your microphone is turned red before beginning. Every effort will be made to ensure that the questions and comments are asked in order of a hand being raised, but we ask that you recognise the complexities involved when we are monitoring both online and in-person attendees. If for any reason a member of the committee has cause to leave the meeting, they must indicate this to the Chair before leaving. Case law is clear, you're not allowed to vote if you haven't heard the full debate. If your screen freezes, I don't know why that's in but there. So could I ask all officers and guests who are joining remotely, why is that in there? Anyway, could I ask Democratic Service to begin the recording, please? Thank you, Ellie. Prynawn dda pawb, croeso i'r cyfarfod heddiw. Hello and welcome to the Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council's Neighbourhood Services, Countryside and Planning Scrutiny on 29th of January 2024. Please note that this meeting may be recorded and broadcast via the authority's intranet site. The images and sound recordings may also be used for training purposes. Go to agenda item 1, apologies for absence. You have anything? No, not all yet. There are none. Any declarations of interest? Malcolm Colburn.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Not declaration of interest as such, but I will need to leave at 5:30 for a mayor's engagement.
Thank you, Malcolm. Move on then to agenda item 3, the local authority's position in relation to Welsh Government's recovery targets. And I'll pass you over to Councillor David Hughes, the portfolio member for Neighbourhood Services.
Yes, Chair. Yes, the report illustrates the local authority's recovery rate for 2022-2023 and compares that rate with the previous year's rate from 2019 to 2020. Tonnage data as integrated for each and above period identifies trends for recyclables and residual waste collected each year. Future projections have been highlighted based on historical and current data. Certain interventions have been highlighted to alter the current trend and improve our recovery rate in order to achieve the Welsh Government targets for discussion. The purpose of the report, that's to that Scrutiny Committee discuss and comment on issues set out in the report. If you look at the report, as you can see, the figure at the moment is 64%. And as you can see, that's going to rise to 70%. And as a authority, we're way off at the moment. The figures of this year, although it have reached the target, it has only just about reached it. So to get to the 70%, we are going to do a lot better. There are some things that I know that we're looking at, including rubble bags, which we'll be sending out 10 bags for people to put the rubble in at a cost to the authority, and that will go against our recycling targets. And also, as well as that, we've got the business people now have got to recycle all the waste, and that's a Welsh Government directive coming from April the 1st. So that should help us a bit with the targets. But as you can see, we've got a lot to do to get to that 70%. Okay, yeah.
Thank you, David. We'll open it up to the committee then. Any questions, please? Councillor Clive Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Can I start with 5.1? Where are we now? Page 7. It says the current 2003-24 rate based on the confirmed quarters 1 and 2 data is 66.45%. It's the 29th of January today. Have we got the third quarter available? No. And when will we have that?
We'll have the third quarter the end of February.
And you're anticipating that will go down compared always with the first two quarters?
What we find is with recycling, it's always better put out rates during the summer months, obviously because of the weather have not been blown about, and then people don't mind putting their recycling out in the summer months. So what we see is a very big decline during the wetter periods and the colder periods.
Right. Okay. Chair, on page 8, 5.8 of the page, it says there are numerous reasons why householders do not recycle, particularly food waste. Apart from the first two, which are could care less, I'm not interested. What are all the other reasons? I thought we might have had reasons in here as to why people are not taking part, but by the sound of it, we don't know. John, what do you want to put mine up?
No, as you say, we've done surveys in the past, and there's different answers to every time we ask. You know, some people don't like doing food because they think it's dirty. So we give them all the receptacles, we give them the bags, we give them every possible thing so that it's clean enough for them. But obviously, we're still finding that a lot of the residents are still not putting food waste out, or they are putting food waste out sometimes, and for weeks and weeks and weeks they don't.
So, what are the percentages? Because we've had in the reports, what's the percentage of there's 27,500 domestic properties in the county borough plus businesses. What's the percentage? Let's stick with the domestics properties. What is the percentage of recyclables, not recycled now, and food waste? Because food waste figures we saw long time ago were awful.
You don't know, so.
Yeah. Is that on?
Is it on mine? On as well?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. I'm not exactly sure what percentages you mean. We've got 75% of our residents taking part in dry recycling, and we've got 50% of our residents taking part in food recycling. If we look at what's left in the wheelie bin, I think we've reported before, we've still got 50% combined food and dry recycling in the wheel bin. And if you look at the materials that could be taken to the HRCs, then that goes up to 75.
Yeah. So sorry. The food waste figure has virtually not gone up for the sound of it, because I can remember seeing a figure roundabout or just under 50% of food waste where people were not interested, not doing it. No, Chair, we've got wardens going around, surely, and the staff as well. They'll know, going down the street, they see it all the time, who's not putting, for example, the food waste bin out. It's not there constantly. So we can identify who these people are, just to stick with the food waste at the moment. So I really don't understand why we can't get that figure increased.
Yes, Councillor, as you said, we've got wardens out. First thing in the morning, the wardens are monitoring the wheel bins, checking whether there's any excess waste, the bin lid is up or whatever, and taking enforcement actions for that. When they finish that, they spend an hour or so looking through the streets, seeing who hasn't got a food waste bin out on their collection day, and where a bin isn't out, they're knocking the door and engaging with them. And we've been doing this now since, well, this project, anyway, we've done many of these in the past. We started this one back in March last year. So it's something we're doing. I know we've got a team of wardens, but they've got so many functions in relation to education, enforcement, that we're having to sort of bolt things onto their day continually. So it's not as if we've got 4 wardens really just constantly knocking doors regarding food. They have to do the other stuff, the side waste, the keeping up with the Joneses, events and other things. So, but we are doing it.
But, Chair, am I right in saying that unless we get these 2 figures up, we're not going to comply with the 70%? I mean, all the other things in here is finger in the air. We might achieve it, we might not. But here are 2 where we could be saying to them, we aren't anywhere near, for example, 90-odd%, certainly not in food waste. And in my opinion, there is work that needs to be done. I don't see anybody being taken to court for the fact that they haven't complied at all with putting their food waste in the blue bin. Am I right?
No. We do take people to court on a regular basis. I think since we've started this, I think there's been something like 130, 140 successful prosecutions. Not all for food, some of them have been for side waste breaches. But yeah, food waste with the Keeping Up with the Joneses campaign is as prevalent as the dry recycling. So yeah, we do take enforcement action on it.
So just to confirm, we have taken people to court
Yes.
who have not put their food waste out on a constant basis. Some of the case, few years.
No. We can't take people to court for not putting their recycling out. There's no legal requirement for them to do that. But where we find food waste in the wheelie bin, so it's incorrectly presented, then yes, we do.
But right, but we give them a receptacle, which, you know, if you've got good eyesight, can be seen. It's blue, and it's not there. And in this day and age, I do not understand why they don't. We provide them with bags, we provide them with a receptacle, and yet we get 50% of the public not putting their food waste out. And I really think there is something that could be done there.
Apart from the director to come in with it, because the director has indicated that she wants to speak. So,
thank you. Councillor, you asked for information on the barriers to food recycling. I just wanted to point out in the report there's a background paper.
Oh yeah, I've left that in my bag. Yeah.
Just for your information, on page 30 of that report, there is a list of all the identified food recycling barriers, and there's about 20 of them.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's my fault. Are the numbers in there? I know that the percentages are there, but are the numbers, the actual numbers? If we've got 27,500 council properties, are there, I don't know, 500, 3,000, 6,000 not taking part? So these are the percentages.
Yes, the percentages in relation to the barriers to food recycling.
Right, okay. And a bit lower down under 5.13, it's got appointment of externally funded temporary warden, focusing on the correct procedures for recycling. How long is the temporary warden with us? Finishing this week?
4.5 months.
Are we not going to get
Not constantly, we can answer with that with the tender.
Yeah, I sent a reminder to our contractors, ERP, who deal with our electrical goods. And they came back to me this morning saying that no, the bid was unsuccessful. It wasn't a bid that we submitted. They were bidding to a company on our behalf, and no, we couldn't extend him.
And my last question for the moment is on page 9 under 7. You're talking about there about charging for a household rubble collection, going after Airbnbs, etc. Obviously, officers have looked at this. How much of a percentage do you think, if all of these are implemented, how much is that going to go up from whatever it is at the moment, 60-odd% to achieve the 70%?
Like we said, we don't know at the moment because we've never done rubble before. We've never collected rubble. We've never given that service. We're hoping it's going to be a big take up of it because, one, it's cheap. Two, instead of getting a big skip for £280, people can have the waste removed for £48. So say you're doing a little project in your garden, Instead of getting a big skip or a mini skip outside your house, you've only got to use this, and the council will come and pick it up. Not only is it going to be an income for the authority, but it's also going to help towards our targets. Airbnbs, we're trying to target them. There's not that many in Merthyr. You know, they're more and more popping up all the time, especially with the bike park and what have you. But there's not that many in it. The 240 bins from the farms, that's not going to bring us a lot of percentage because the majority of them are already in, and our drivers of the refuse lorries are told if they see a 240, don't empty it, leave it. So we presume that that's only going to be the bins that's going to go back and we'll recycle them. And like I say, the last one then, but for the implementation of chargeable stuff for the recycling centre from trade waste, you know, that's got to be looked into properly because we'd have to have a weighbridge, we'd have to have a lot of investment to be able to charge traders to go in there.
So,
but don't forget, if you're a trader now with a contract with Merthyr Council, so say for instance you own a shop or something, and you've got a waste the duty of care notice from us, you can use the skip sites with recyclable materials free of charge.
Right.
So we are trying to get everything we can,
right,
in every stream we can of recycling.
So I presume from what you said, Paul, is that the big one there is the rubble, which will increase percentages, you know.
Biggest one of all is to get this food out to the black bin.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are drumming into the crews, we're drumming into, you know, if we're drumming into the wardens to try and, you know, when they lift in bins to make sure they hit it around, to make sure if they see any bins, to challenge that person. So it is work in the background going on with it.
And it's completely unhygienic in this day and age.
Yeah.
No food in 2024 should be going into a black bin. Just one last question. You mentioned, or somebody mentioned, that the bag for rubble, you know, I anticipate it'll be a small size bag that we get for garden waste, because it'll be a much bigger.
It's going to be the same. Do you know the ton of sand you get from
yes.
in places like that? It's going to be that size,
right,
ton sack.
So there'll be.
So the process will be that, say for instance, you wanted it for your garden, you were doing a small project or something. You come down, you book it online, pay the £48, come down to Unit 20, pick up the sack off us. We'll have a chat about it and see exactly where you're going to place it out, because once you start filling it, obviously it can't be moved by yourself. And as long as our arm can reach it from the vehicle, and we put it by the side of the road, and we'll pick it up when you tell us it's full or you finish with it.
That's going to save people an awful lot of money.
Yeah,
I had some work done. In the house, I'd engaged a bricklayer, and the mini skip. Well, when I was quoted the price, I thought they were joking.
I know.
And I refused to accept it. And then I made inquiries and realised it was correct. So if we're going to charge whatever it is, so £48 or so.
We're going to charge the same as we charge for a bulky green waste. So for instance, if you had a bulky green waste picked up, we'd use the same lorry.
Right.
You know, it's probably the same amount of time, because you go and you've got the same amount of time to pick that materials up, take it to the Hayes Rossies. So we're going to charge the £48. I'm not sure at the top of my head. I think it's £48.96.
Right.
So instead of the 280, it'll be the 46.
And with that one as well, sticking with that, because with rubble comes other things.
Yes.
You know, empty paintings, goodness knows what. Is that all going to be accepted in the rubble?
We're going to stick to rubble, tile, and ceramics at the moment, but obviously we need to look at everything to try and get it to the 70%. Right. So if there's something in future that, you know, we can add on, then we will be adding it on.
And when do you think the rubble might start? Not from
as soon as I think it's going to start next week or the week after.
Oh, as soon as that.
Yeah, we've done all the background work. I've been doing it. We've been doing this since November. The only problem we couldn't do is the drop-down menu on the Tascomi system for booking, and they couldn't add to it. So now we've added that rubble on to the Tascomi system. It'll be up and running in the next couple of weeks. There is I'm perhaps I'm going off on a tangent here, but a part of our savings in waste is investor save. So we're asking for we've got to replace the vehicle anyway, as Johan will back me up. But we could try and replace that vehicle with a slightly bigger payload. So if we came to your house and you had 3 ton sacks, then we'd come and get those 3 rather than get one and go back for one, then go back for one. Right. So there's a proposal coming up to Cabinet to replace the vehicle with a larger payload vehicle.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Chair.
£48.96. Yeah.
Paul, can I just ask you a question around those rubble sacks? If you're on a terraced street, would there be a highways licence payable for them? As it is with a skip?
I presume not, and we're hoping for a very quick turnaround of them. So if you had it and you were in a terrace street, you'd fill it, quite quickly, and then we'd take it straight from there. But it is a valid point, but that's what I'd be looking for as well.
So it's the same thing with skips.
Yeah.
I think it is worth looking into before
Yeah.
it goes forward. I hadn't thought of it till now until we were talking with.
It's not going to take up that much more room on the footpath than boxes and bins that are already. So I will speak to Ives about it, but yeah, it's a valid point.
Thank you, Chair. Clive asked most of the questions I was going to ask, especially the rubble and everything else. So, what's the best way forward as a council to take what problems we got? Because we talk about this over the last 18 months, 2 years. We've got you up and down. We've gone through it all, waste, food waste. What's the best way forward now for us to take it forward to get the public on board? Because at the end of the day, we can talk forever and day, ask all these questions, and not going to get nowhere, to be honest. I'd rather turn around and is take it forward, what we can do. First of all, you can advertise this rubble project, because if people don't know about it, like us, what chance they got? Because you're going to sell it, you're going to sell it in such a way that you got people on board. It's simple as that. And perhaps where they've got the bins, perhaps you can put a ticket on the bins and say you got food in there, won't pick a bin up until you clean out yourself. We're going to do certain things, and we've got to have a bit of a stick. We've got to find them and do certain things, because come up with us and see, people just leaving bins about. They're not doing it. They're not emptying them. They're just overfilling. We got major problems. How we can get that into control again for the council, I don't know. But how do you think we can work with it and work with us? Because we've got to work together in this. We can't just say, oh, we've got to do this and that way. It don't work. We've got to work with the community, and the community's got to support us. So how do you think we can manage it?
Yeah. As you said, it's quite simple really what we need to do, and that's get the food and dry recycling out of the wheel bins. We've communicated and educated for years and years now, and we've got to a point where it's more or less plateaued. We get new people coming on board, taking part, but likewise we get people who stop doing it anymore. So yeah, there's a couple of options. You could look at residual restrictions, but because we only give our residents 70 litres capacity in the bin a week, for us to restrict that even more would be sort of unprecedented. We'd be going down to 46 litres per weekly collection, which is a lot less than you can get into your recycling box at the moment. So that's an option that perhaps isn't any good at the moment. As you said earlier, Councillor Jones said earlier, enforcement. But with the resources we got, with the 4 waste and recycling ones we got, we can't get them to do any more. So maybe that's an area we need to look at, in investing in bringing in more wardens, even if it's temporary, to go out there knocking the doors, as you said, enforcing. But it's those 2 things really. Communications, we continue to communicate. We'll ramp our communications up as we always do. But I think it's a case now of, as you say, knocking the doors, enforcement. We give too many stages probably, and we've done it because the will of the council previously has been make sure you educate before you take any form of action, enforcement action, and we've stuck with that, and that's our legal guidance as well. Well, maybe it's a time that we don't educate so many times that we go straight into a Section 46 notice and then on to a fixed penalty notice. We'd have to change our policy for that, but that's not a difficult thing. But yeah, I think, as you say, I totally agree. We need to be stricter now. And we need to sort of get a resource in to make sure we get the residents to comply.
So this will be April. Can we look after a certain time in the next 12 months for us to have a plan? What plan you think we could be pointless asking us? We know what we want in, but the rules and regulations. So can we have a plan with the officers to come forward and, you know, say this is the way we want to take it forward. Because I can say, well, first of all, we're doing the recycling with the bins, no working. My idea with on the recycling, dry recycling, is to put the stuff in plastic bags and take them away, right? But we got to have some sort of plan, right? How to do it, how to do the black everything we recycling, picking the rubbish up, rubbles, everything involved. How can we take it forward? The wheelie bins, because the wheelie bins are causing major problems, isn't it? For the rubbish, not the right rubbish sometimes, food waste. So now we got to have some sort of plan, I mean. So I'll look with something in the next couple of months. How can we take it forward and get a PR for the public to know this is the new policy that we're going to take it forward. We're going to do something.
Can I bring Councillor Leighton in there, please, who's got a query following on from Bill's query? I'm going to come back to you, Bill.
Just what Bill was saying there about, you know, how do we take this forward? How many other councils are achieving this target at the moment?
At the moment, we're about 11th or 12th out of 22.
Right,
So there's sort of we smack on midway.
right.
Five councils in Wales achieving the target, aren't they?
Yeah, only 5.
Have we ever sort of, obviously, because they're achieving it, what are they doing? And have we asked this question, how were they achieving it?
Yeah, yeah, we've asked them, we've visited them. We did it before, during, and after the service change. They're doing nothing different to us. It's just, I don't know if it's demographics or it's the more affluent areas. You know, Conway. We went to Conway and we looked at the Conway were achieving 65-66% back in 2015. But they are four weekly. Well, they just go in 4 weekly. They've always been 3 weekly refuse, and they're weekly recycling. But they do nothing different to us. Everything's exactly the same. The majority of the councils, well, I would say 17, 18 out of the 22 are doing the blueprint the Welsh Government give us exactly the same as us.
Can I just ask another question there? Because
I don't mean to be rude, but
yeah, go on, Tim. Do you know when we're saying that there's no law, I was saying to the chair now, that there's no law for the waste recycling, as long as it's not in a bin, that's the only way we can prosecute, yeah?
we can't prosecute if somebody's not putting recycling out.
Out, right. So how are we going to achieve it if there's no incentive there to say, if you don't, you're going to get prosecuted, or fear then, or whatever? Do you know what I mean? Because
But there's no legislation to go to.
I just don't understand that, because how are we going to get a target if they haven't got to do it? Do you know what I mean? I understand what you're saying with the bin. If it's in the black bin, yeah, well, it's contaminated and everything else, isn't it?
Yeah.
But why haven't we got to? Why can't we have a law for the recycling, waste recycling? Just doesn't seem much sense if we try and hit a target.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Bill. Do you want to come back?
No, carry on. Finish.
Colburn then, please.
Thank you, Chair. 5.13, page 8. First bullet point, retrieval of additional capacity bins deems no longer required following a monitoring campaign. Do we know how many additional capacity bins we've still got out? How many that we've retrieved? And is this an ongoing campaign that we're continually monitoring these bins?
Yeah, more or less. I haven't got actual figures, but I've got figures that are quite close to what we did. We retrieved about 400 bins when we did the exercise starting back last February. There were a few that we missed, and the wardens are still trying to sort of get them now. Residents are sort of hiding them away and things like that. But it's a biannual exercise we have to do as part of our policy. So in another 2 years' time, we'll carry out the exercise again, we'll monitor, and those that are deemed not to need them, we'll remove them again.
Right, so it's not an ongoing, continual process. It's just once every 2 years.
It is, but if we find somebody blatantly flouting our rules, then we will take the bin off them.
So we recovered 400.
Yes.
Do you know how many more we've got out there that people are still being used correctly?
Yeah, there's about 300 out there currently,
Right.
but that goes up because we get new applications in every week. That
but then,
continues to grow.
yeah.
So
That fluctuates quite a lot because, you know, the last 3 I've had requested by councillors are due to people who are double incontinent or at end of life, and they need the extra capacity to get rid of the extra waste that they create in from their illness.
Yeah.
So that would probably go out, and then unfortunately, if that person does pass away, then that bin comes back pretty quick. But it's continuously changing.
Right.
And continuously and getting requests for a lot of people. Everybody got to ask, got to apply for an extra capacity bin online.
Right.
The next collection day or the collection day after, the warden goes out and checks if that's needed. More often than not, it's not needed because there's no bags there. The bin is half full. And I've had several requests in the last 2 or 3 weeks from councillors to send the wardens back to re-audit it because they didn't tell the people to have extra bit bags out. But that's going against all our policies completely.
Okay.
So as soon as that's all I'm having is pressure from there then to say, oh, can you send them back? The woman didn't know that she had to put extra bags out. I said, well, that's the whole point of an audit, a spot check.
Yeah. And so about half the bins that we had out weren't needed, and we've taken back in. So.
It's different circumstances. If children grow up and they come out of nappies, and some people don't need the larger bins, so then we bring them back in. You know, nobody gives up the bin, but when we do the checks, we bring them back in then.
Okay, thank you. And since we've introduced the free bulky metals and large domestic appliance service, do people have to book that online?
Yes, there's a drop-down menu. So say, for instance, you're booking a settee and you've got a washing machine you no longer use and you want that added on. There's a drop-down menu on the booking system that tells you what items are free and what items are payable.
All right, okay. I must admit, I didn't know that. And wish I had, because I've just had to pay to have my washing machine taken away. So.
It has been advertised on.
Has it? Right, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. And it's on the website.
Right, but then obviously not everybody looks at the website all the time, do they? So.
And similarly, we will be advertising for the rubble, but I didn't want to advertise it before I brought it to you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And just a comment really regarding the Airbnbs. I've got an Airbnb next to me. The owners aren't there, they live away. So it's just the guests that are staying in the Airbnb. They never recycle anything. They just chuck it all in the...
What's the address?
I'll tell you after.
I'll have a look on it.
They just chuck it all in the black bin. And if that black bin is full, they chuck it in my black bin.
Yeah.
So
we can send Lisa to speak to them.
Yeah.
I want to speak to we want to speak to the individual people back and forth.
Well, this is it. I mean, there's guests, they come in for 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah.
The owner doesn't live there; they live away.
We'll track them down anyway.
Yeah, so it is a bit annoying. Well, that they don't put any recycling out at all, because perhaps they come from places where they don't recycle. So obviously we need to get these on board.
Yeah.
As you said, it's getting more and more popular thing, the Airbnb. So it's definitely something that we need to look at.
And as a business, from April 1st, they'll have to separate all the waste into individual streams.
Right. So will they be classed as business waste from?
They'll have to pay for it.
So that they've all got to pay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'll check with you and see what was on the list.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
You finished, Mal? Thank you very much. Mr. Philip Starr, next, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's a query about public litter bins, really. I haven't got the actual figures with me, but how many are there in the borough, roughly?
The street cleansing.
Okay. No,
street litter bins, you mean, do you?
Yeah,
street cleansing.
It's connected then with meeting recycling targets, and the fact that those public litter bins, the litter that's in them is not sorted, is it?
Yes, I can remember that. What the only litter and refuse from Merthyr, none of it goes to landfill ever. But any litter bin waste comes to the HWRCs up in Dowlais and Aberfan, It's taken into the centre. The bags are ripped open and it's sorted into different streams.
Right.
The only waste that we don't sort is from the dog fouling bins,
Yeah.
because obviously we don't want
Yeah.
people touching that. But any waste that comes through the authority is sorted or recycled, and then it goes to energy from waste. None of it is landfilled.
Right. So there's no quick win there then with regard to
We're doing it already.
those. Okay. Is there any indication of whether the recycling bins are better than the general bins then? Are the recycling bins that have started to replace
Yeah.
the new ones?
They are. Yeah, I haven't got any figures or anything to hand, but yeah, the report back from our HRC manager is that it's working really well. So, because you're getting a clean material for cans, plastic bottles, so there's very little sorting. So yeah, they are working.
So is it a council target then to carry on replacing those old-fashioned bins with the more up-to-date recycling bins? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, before Clive comes in, can I ask a follow-up?
Yes, certainly, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, sorry, Clive. Yeah, you say the litter bin waste is gone through and sorted out. If we find evidence that someone has put in household waste in a litter bin, is that then investigated? Yeah, that's what I was.
And then they've got a letter and they've read it and they put it in the litter bin. I'd rather than put it in front on the floor, so I wouldn't go prosecuting people like that. If there was bags found,
I was going to say, if there's a black
bags
bag
found
full of
by the
rubbish,
side
and
of
then-
bins,
yeah,
then yes, with address on it, they're prosecuted.
they are. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Clive Jones, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just to add to the question about sorting out the waste from residual waste bins, that includes the food waste as well. So everything that they find in the residual, including the food waste.
So if they come up and there's a couple of chickens ones in town, ones are not recycling, and there's food waste within it, then our food waste is put to one side in a box and it's put into the food waste bin that we've got.
Not the best job in the world, eh?
No.
With staff. God almighty. Going back to the new legislation, which I think the actual date that it has to be implemented for is the 6th of April. Because I think for the first time, places like the churches, chapels, church halls, etc., will now, by law, have to put glass one place, etc. So, do you anticipate, because I think that legislation is going to affect an awful lot that don't do that at the moment. I've already pre-warned them because in St. David's we got the church and the church hall that this is going to happen. Do you anticipate that that will increase the amount of food waste and recyclables?
Yes, it's going to increase all our waste streams, and it's going to reduce our residual. So hopefully that's going to be a win-win for the authority. I think St. David's already do some sort of recycling, don't they?
Yes.
Off the top of my head, they do.
Yeah.
I've seen black bags and blue bags.
That was as a result of they say, look, we need to be doing this.
But everybody's going to have to do it. Everybody's going to have to do the same, and that's going to be enforced by the NRW. Whether they enforce it is another question. Yeah. But the enforcement arm of it will be down to the NRW. So, say for instance, the NRW come to St. David's and you've got all food in your bin, which I've seen you doing, Clive. For instance, then they'll be taken against it's not against the authority, it'll be against the church itself.
I know. I've started reading the legislation because it's quite specific.
Yeah.
But it's, you're bound to have an increase there. But as officers, you haven't been able to estimate that until it starts. I mean, this is going to come perhaps as a shock to some places that they've got to do this. I mean, I noticed that it says glass. You can't put glass in, I don't know, with cardboard or so on. That's got to be separated quite rightly. Whether we're currently doing that in St. David's, I don't know.
Every contracted trader with Merthyr Council already do that. They separate their waste already.
Right.
We don't give just, say for instance, if Bill owned a shop and he came to us and said, we want to a refuse bin with you, we'd say, yeah, you can have a refuse bin with us, but you've got to do one other stream of our recycling, and we would prefer you do all our recycling. Cardboard is free, tin, plastic and cans a certain price, and certain price all the way down. So nobody who's got a contract with Merthyr Council have just got refuse, apart from churches.
So have you already notified all these
Yes.
bodies? They've actually had the letters, have they?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's on the website, and it's on the
Yeah, I know it's on the website, but I wasn't sure if they
yeah.
already
And
had the letter.
a reminder will go out again now when the duty of cares go out like they do every year.
I mean, the case of St. David's would be one to the church and one to the hall, because we're a separate trust charity
Yeah.
as far as the hall.
I've
is
already
concerned.
highlighted that one to NRW.
Right. One last question. I was asked by a constituent only a few days ago. We started this experiment of the cling film, all the stuff that crisp packets, I don't know whether you included those, etc.
Yeah.
Because I think what he said, and I have noticed it, that you could take this cling film type of thing up to the civic community sites. But certainly I think it's Dowless is the one he was talking about. Is there a receptacle there? There is there?
Yeah, and then we take it over to be recycled over in Rumney, in the plastic reprocessed over in Rumney.
So there is a place where people. I'm not sure if everybody knows that, to be honest with you.
Oh, we'll re-advertise. Can you make a note of that? And the other thing, just to clarify the situation, is that we were hoping on funding from RAP to do a borough-wide another trial with it.
Yeah.
So that the whole borough was covered, and then they were going to supply us with 2 vehicles, pay for 2 men, to do a trial for a 6-month period of the 27,000 properties. But at the last minute, they pulled it.
Oh.
So they left us with nowhere to go, really, because we can't really afford to do it.
No.
Because it's going to bring in very little tonnage.
Yes.
We want to try and hit the big ton areas, like the glass, the food.
Yeah.
We want to concentrate on that rather than doing cling film, which will bring us perhaps not even 0.5% over a year's period.
I agree with him. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, thank you, Chair.
The committee have any further questions? I got 2, Paul. One of them is, I'll stick with the second one first. We've just spoken about the new Welsh recycling regulations being introduced in April. I can see a positive effect regarding trade recycling, both from a materials collected perspective and a contracts with the local authority perspective. But that's only if other providers, either waste providers, adhere to the regulations. Will the local authority have any reporting methods for non-compliant companies? And do you think there will be any enforcement from NRW?
I personally don't think there's going to be any enforcement from NRW. In answer to your question, we haven't got the manpower to look at anybody else's bins, such as Biffa or Egan Waste or wherever it may be. The only thing that we're hoping as a local authority is, because we do it already, people will see it's done properly. They'll read the legislation, understand they're breaking the law, and then come to us for it. Because for the past couple of years, we know the big companies, Thomas, Biffa, Veolia, they just put everything in one bin. They don't even bother with recycling. They don't have to read triggers. So hopefully, when local businesses start seeing the legislation, then they will come to us for all the materials. But I don't think it'll be enforced by the NRW.
I think one of the major factors on it will be cost, especially because of the current financial situation everywhere.
Yeah.
And refuse contracts are generally cheaper with other providers. Why will they change if it's much more expensive with a local authority? Although it's the right thing to do, don't get me wrong. If you can still get that service cheaper through another provider, then my thoughts are that they're going to stay with that provider until they are told they can't do this any longer.
Yeah, but it will be down to the providers you know, they're going to know the legislation is coming in. They're going to know these big companies, they've all got solicitors behind them. Hopefully the solicitors are going to be advising them, look, you've got to start towing the rope and doing it properly, because these big providers are going to be fined otherwise.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but I think it's going to be a while before that kicks in, until some of them have actually had their fingers slapped.
Yeah, agree with.
Clive, is your question relevant to this?
No.
Right, good. If one more, and then my other one then is, what has been the impact of a new lease of life on recycling in percentage or tonnage terms, and do you expect that to increase?
Yeah, so I brought some figures with me regarding the view shop. In 2022-23, they sold 108 tons worth of materials, and in 2023 up until to date, well, the end of December, it's 93.55 tons. That would equate to 1/3%. It's constantly growing, mind. It's yeah, year on year we're getting slightly more.
That's positive anyway. And it does appear to be growing, yeah.
It does, yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we will go over the 108 tons we had last year, this year. So.
Thank you very much, Steve. Back to you, Clive.
But just on that one last point, just for clarification, we're talking about 108 tons. That is made up of what is sold, reused. That's calculated in the 60-odd%, is it? Is that right? I didn't know that.
We prepare for reuse. So yeah.
So how do they?
There's an average. There's an average. If you took a settee down there to sell on to somebody else, then that's counted. The weight is counted as an average.
So somebody sort of
cup, a settee, a bike,
all right,
a jacket.
So of the stuff there,
yeah,
I've got to keep a note of that all the time. The items.
When somebody pays for it, and
right,
then goes through the till, that equates to a tonnage.
Right.
Or to a weight, sorry.
Right.
Tonnage.
I didn't realise that was included in the figures.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question now that is unusual. Looking around here, I'm the only one here who's got part of the River Taff in the ward. And as you know, the NRW are responsible for that river and the embankment so far, either side. And we've certainly got one part of the ward which is an absolute nightmare from litter, etc., which is constantly thrown onto the embankment. Clearly, we can't get staff to go down there to the water's edge. My understanding is, and it's a rarity, but I think the NRW, with the amount of rivers they got, have to clear some of these embankments or get contractors to clear. Whatever they clear from the river edges, is that something that they then dispose of themselves? So none of whatever's collected can't be from the NRW included in our.
I've never experienced any weights coming from the NRW towards our targets.
Right.
We do get the weights from the community litter picks. I know that I notice regularly that there's somebody, there's about 2 or 3 couples that do the Goat Mill Road on a weekly basis, and I've noticed them there all the time. We get that tonnage.
Right.
I notice people doing Ponsan when I go up to Ponsan on a bike. There's people doing the Ponsan Road up to the Red Cow and back.
Yeah.
We have that tonnage.
Right.
But I've never had any tonnage come through our figures from the NW.
Oh, right.
But we do get the community work.
We got an issue in one part there, which is, as I said, a nightmare. And I had these. Well, I think he was the secretary of the Anglian Association, because it's a, and you'd be amazed how much litter, all sorts of things, cans, bottles, everything, are just thrown there constantly.
But no, we don't get any other time.
Right. Okay. Thanks. Thanks.
Are there any further questions then? No. In that case, comments, please. Clive.
I think, Chair, this is a huge task. I know that so far we've escaped any fines from the Welsh Government. And I mean, when you were talking about, is it £52,000 per ton, is it? Hell of a lot.
Per percent.
Sorry?
Per percent.
Per percent. Sorry, per percent. So it's a hell of a figure. And we've got to avoid that at all costs. We've got to, achieve another, we're talking about up to 4% at least by the 31st of March 2025. I personally think that's, even with what you're suggesting here, is going to be a huge task, and to keep at that level. And I honestly think that we need to bring this back to the Scrutiny Committee, perhaps sooner than later, to see how we're getting on with all your suggestions here. I mean, I would have thought within 6 or 8 months, you'll have a good idea, Chair, of how that's working, or perhaps other things which are not working. I think the committee are anxious to ensure that everything is done in Merthyr Tydfil to get that figure up there. And from my point of view, I think we've got to thank all the staff who are involved with this. It's a massive task, daily task, to keep up with it. But I think it should be brought back here, perhaps later on this year. Okay, thanks.
Mr. Philip Starr, please.
I'd like to reiterate Clive's point about the hard work that the staff and officials are putting into trying to reach this target. But it does seem to have plateaued. And the one thing which struck me is that the need for people to recycle is often put out on social media, but it tends to be more congratulatory. Well done, we're doing well, a little bit more to do than that. Is there any willingness to tell people how serious the problem actually is? We know it from these figures and from what Paul and Steve have explained to us today, but is there any willingness to actually say to the public, look, we've done so much, but now we've hit a plateau, and unless you actually pull your fingers out and start to work with us and help us recycle, we will not reach these targets, and this authority will be fined for not reaching those targets. Sometimes they need to be told that this is the reality of the situation, rather than saying, well done for taking your crisp bags over the Rumney. But as far as we are concerned, we are not going to reach that target. And the only real way that we are going to reach that target is by bringing more of the public with us. And if they don't know, perhaps they assume that things are going well. There are always going to be people who are never going to comply. They're always, regardless of wherever we ask them to do. But there are perhaps a small percentage of people who just don't realise how serious the situation actually is. If we make them aware of how serious the situation is, we may well pull more people to the side of recycling. And these figures are in-house with us. Perhaps it should be made more public, the fact that we have reached this plateau, and unless people do join us in our campaign to recycle, we're not going to reach targets. Okay, thanks, Chair.
Bill, next, please.
It's the same lines as Phil, because it's all right, Clive say we'll have a meeting in 6 or 7 months down the line where we're going, and well, what in between, what can we do? How can we get there, what we want to do? Because Phil is right, we've got to tell the public we've got a major problem, and the problem is cost. Don't forget the budget is coming in 1st of April. Nobody knows the present moment unless Dave can tell us how much, but we don't know a fact of where we're going. How many redundancies, what other knock-on effects going to be, and I think we've got to start telling the public now, right? This is going to cost social services, education a cost, because that comes out of the budget. It not just come out of one budget; it comes out of the whole budget of the council. It's a knock-on effect, so it could cost money. And I think we've got to get cons in, do a PR, say, look, I'm giving the bad news, not the good news. Hey, disasters come in now. And that's only we can tell public, and the people realise then if it's bad news, it's bad. Perhaps we're all laughing and joking, and perhaps I don't want to talk a lot of nonsense, but I don't know how we're going to do it. And I mean that, I really don't. So I think we've got to look at that serious, how to sell a message. With the solar panels, they can help us. The money you make up here.
Thank you, Bill. Are there any other further comments? Oh. Paula?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the same type of thing, really. I mean, they're doing everything they can, you know, what's legal to do. And again, it's down to resources, isn't it, and cost. And they haven't got that. And I know that because through working, you know, with the boys and things, sickness as well is through the roof. So they haven't got the hands on deck to do what you need to do. So my hat goes out to them because it's really an hard job. The rubbish we experience in the recycling, such a shame, really. But you know, you're doing your best, so well done.
Are there any other further comments? Yes, Clive.
I posed a question. I think I saw Councillor Hughes nodding his head, but I do think that we need to get this back to us to see how we are progressing after, you know, X amount of time. And in my opinion, that should be later on this year. And just to add to what Phil has said, for example, we need to tell those out there who are complying with recycling and putting their waste out there. By the way, there are 50% of your neighbours not doing this. And why aren't they doing it? So we need to tell them. I think these figures are certainly for the food waste are stark. And the public should be told, because a lot of them are doing their bit, and these people, the rest in that category, couldn't care less about it. I mean, I looked at some of the reasons that they give for not putting out the food waste. Frankly, it's laughable. So, and they need to be told this. I'm sure our communications team can do it in conjunction with the department, that we got to reach this 70% figure by the 31st of March, or else, because the people who will pay for it is you, the public. So if our communications team could have a discussion with them and see what they can do, they, you know, they're fast enough putting other things out there, but this is important to tell the public. But I presume from what Councillor Hughes is nodding his head that we look at this again later on this year, Chair.
Yep, certainly. Right, then I'm going to finish with same appreciation as every other committee member to the work that's being done. And that's also not to forget the guys that's out there on the cold face, so to speak. The weather we've had the last couple of weeks, I wouldn't want to be doing that job, I can tell you. So if you will pass on appreciation, Paul and Steve, to the guys and to yourselves, and thank you very much. And you can stay for the rest of the meeting if you want, or you can now leave. Not going, yeah. Leave him poor, you're one on his own. Cheers, guys. Move on then to agenda item 4, fleet management and electric vehicles. And again, I pass you on to the portfolio member, Councillor David Hughes.
Let's hope we have a bit more better good news on this one. The report provides an update of the fleet of vehicles being replaced this financial year and the impacts of switching to electric vehicles. The purpose of the report is that the context of this report be discussed and noted. I think that's about it. I know you went on a visit today. I don't know if you've seen what I've seen. I think you'd be pretty impressed what Joe and have done, to be honest.
Definitely, David. Your introduction finished, yeah?
Yeah.
So we'll open it
all
out,
read them, you know me, keep who
open it out to the committee then, please. Councillor Bill Smith.
Well, Chair, we went there last Thursday, and we had just discussed it, and to be honest, I was over the moon. It was fabulous. So I'm not going to say nothing now until every member didn't turn up, have a question, and then I'll come back in, right? Because it'd be unfair for me to say how good it was. But let the members ask questions, and then I'll come in after. Because I don't know to ask, because I've asked them all last week.
Thank you for that, Bill. And appreciate you giving other members an opportunity to ask questions, but we do need to ask questions to evidence that questions have been asked. Yeah, thank you for that. Councillor Clive Jones then, please.
Right. I was unable to make the visit because of clashing with something else out of my diary, so that was unfortunate. On page 12, the paragraph there, 4.4, I think that's telling us part of the history there, because it refers to vehicles due to be delivered by May 22. So I think that's just part of what's been happening up to date. I had to look at it twice because it says to be delivered by May 22, but we've had a number of these vehicles delivered and used in the meantime. 4.6, it says you've applied for funding from the Cardiff Capital Region for a hypercharger in Unit 20. When was the funding applied for, and how much was it, and do you think you'll be successful?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Chair. I applied for the funding in 2021 for £640,000, if I remember correctly. That would be 2 chargers, ultra rapid chargers, and 17 fast chargers to charge overnight. The funding was approved. The installation was commissioned, and the chargers are working at the moment. They've been working since May last year.
That you'd asked for.
I didn't spend it.
Oh, really? Okay. Lower down there, 5.3, without me sort of adding up and taking away and trying to work out for myself. Currently now at this moment, 128 vehicles. How many of those are the number? How many of those are electric vehicles?
15 are electric now, plus another 4 on order to arrive in the next couple of months. So we'll have 19 by the beginning of March.
That's for 19. So there's a long way to go then. We've got 128
It
vehicles.
is a long way to go. What we've done by installing these chargers now, we create the possibility to replace another up to 40 vehicles with electric, because we can charge them. So as the lease is expired now in the next couple of years, because we don't want to terminate the lease too early, we're still going to pay for it if we terminate it earlier. So as the vehicles, they're going to be replaced, they will be looked at first of all to replace with electric, because we got the charging infrastructure.
And in the report, it says all the vehicles are under 5 years old.
Yeah, as it happened in the last 3 years, we replaced about 85% of the fleet to make sure that they are reliable and they're efficient. So in the next 2 to 3 years, we're probably going to have to replace them again. So as they come to an end, we look to replace them with electric.
Right. So it's really all due to the fact that we have to wait for the leases to expire, because obviously it would cost us if we came out of that before the required end of the term.
That's correct. If I want to return the vehicle 2 years before the lease expires, we still got to pay for that lease anyway. So we might as well keep the vehicle, use it, and then when it's due to replace it.
Right. It's a bit frustrating when you know you've now got all the charging points that you need. You don't need any more than you've got there at the moment.
We got sufficient for Unit 20 for the vans and some of the HGVs, but we're still gonna need more. That's only probably for 40% of the fleet.
Yeah.
We're still gonna install chargers in Unit 5, Civic, maybe to Parta Park if we're still keeping vehicles there. Couple of cemetery, they got a couple of vehicles, the health park. So we still, everywhere we park vehicles overnight, we will need chargers by 2030.
Right. But you don't require these charges for the cemeteries, etc. You're talking about. You don't require them there at the moment.
Not as many as this investment we've done in Unit 20.
But you will need them
in the future, yes.
And when do you, what's the time then you apply for the funding? So you've got the charges already there. You've got to do that 18 months in advance.
Well, the funding is not guaranteed. So anytime a grant is available, I will apply for it. So I apply most recently now in January. I'm hoping to get enough funding to install chargers in Unit 5 and Civic, or at least one of them. I'm hoping to know by the end of this week.
Right.
So yeah, as soon as funding is available, I will apply for all the anything that's available.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Malcolm Colburn.
Thank you, Chair. Oh, yeah. Over the last 2 years, I see the cost of electricity has gone up 200% and the cost of diesel has come down by 10%. Is there still substantial saving being made between the cost between electric vehicles and diesel vehicles?
Was about 14 times cheaper to use an electric vehicles than it was a diesel. As the electricity price gone up and the diesel gone down, it's only about 3 to 4 times cheaper now. So it's still cheaper, but not as much as it used to be.
Well, not as cheap as it used to be, but it's still a considerable saving.
Yeah, if you look at 2021 in a summer, I believe, a cost of kilowatt hour of electricity was between 7 and 12 pence per kilowatt, so it was about average about 10. Liter of diesel was between 180 and 2 liter at one point, 2 pounds at one point. So that was 20 times cheaper almost. Now a cost per kilowatt is 36 pence when diesel is what 140, 150. So it's not as cheap as it used to be. You still get lots of different benefits from having electric vehicles. The servicing is cheaper. Wear and tear is much more reduced. You don't have many moving parts, which diesel or petrol vehicles got. So it's still a saving, but not as much. You are correct. Not as much as used to be.
Okay, thank you. And when we change over to all electric vehicles by 2030, hopefully, are we satisfied that the particularly HGVs, recycling vehicles, etc., will be able to cope with all the hills within the borough?
Before we commit to purchase a vehicle, we test them. So that's the first thing we do. We use them for at least 2 or 3 weeks. We use them on all the routes, like Hauling Waste did last year with Electra, which we ordered 3 of them now to be delivered the next couple of months. They've been used by several drivers. Absolutely all the runs fully loaded to ensure that they are working. We trialed sweepers in the past and Dennis Seagull vehicles, which they weren't successful. So we decided to wait until the technology improved.
Well, again, the technology is improving all the time, I take it. So by 2030, it'll be that much better again.
Yeah, we're waiting for the next model next year or this year. When it comes up, we'll test that one. And if that's good enough, yeah, we can look to order them the following year. Or if they're not, we wait until they get better.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm. Paula.
Thank you. Yeah, was on the visit. It was loads of questions asked, but I'll probably go over some more. How much are the ports today? The charging ports individually?
How much is the cost per one port?
Yeah.
The cost is between £1,200 and £2,000, maybe £2,500. They're not very expensive.
Right.
The fast ones. The most expensive thing is the infrastructure, getting the power on site, civil work, all the digging, all the connections, control panels, distribution panels. So the charges, the way you gotta look at it is like having a bulb in the middle of a forest that doesn't make light. You need all the cables around, so that's the most expensive things to go.
How often they got to be maintained then?
Very light maintenance. They gotta be checked by electrician, just like any other electrical items. Once every 6 months or 12 months, make sure that there's no wear and tear to it.
Right. And what's the cost to that then? Or is there a cost attached to that? I mean,
It is a cost
Yeah.
attached. When we purchased them, I included a 3 years maintenance with the contract, so we don't have to pay nothing for the next 3 years. After 3 years, there we're gonna have to reevaluate to maybe just get an electrician, give us quotes, and see what's the cheapest option.
lovely. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Philip Starr next, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just 2 points you want, which I think we covered in the visit that we had last week. But is there a plan to put any charging points in local schools if the school has got minibus transport which is kept there?
Yes, I believe the schools are already looking into that. We don't have any vehicles managed by myself in school, so I'm not looking into that. But I think the schools are doing it themselves.
And the local authority will then pay for the installation and the maintenance of those charge points, or will that come from the school's individual budget?
Will come from the budget, and I think they can follow different kind of channels there. They are commercial providers which they can install the chargers for free, but they can make because public's got access to them, they can make profit that way. Differences in outside like waste or like unit 20 or unit 5 highways. We can't allow the public to go in, otherwise will be lots of health and safety issues. So we gotta finance them themselves. We can't really allow somebody else to come in and make profit after.
Okay,
But
thank
the
you.
schools got that opportunity, same like hospitals and leisure centers and other.
So they have a different relationship to the sites, which like Unit 5 and Unit 20.
Yes, and they got different grants available to them as well. They can apply for better grants.
Okay. The other one, note on here that the feedback from the drivers of the electric vehicles has been pretty much positive. Is it a training issue for drivers if they have to switch from driving a diesel vehicle to then an electric vehicle? Have they got to go through it? Their licenses are presumably appropriate for driving an electric vehicle. Have they got any training issues which we are responsible for?
Yeah, good question. Like you say, the legal requirement to drive electric vehicles is same like any petrol diesel car. Driving lots of electric vehicles, I know that there is not much difference from an automatic car or automatic vehicle. Drive is exactly the same. We do offer training to all the drivers. So before they switch, especially if they never drove an electric car, they're gonna have a couple hours with the professional instructor. They can just show them how it is. My experience, we have several drivers already doing that, which they were very, very unconfident, like scared to drive an electric vehicle.
Yeah. You're gonna say, was there any reluctance? No real reluctance.
After an hour with an instructor, they will prefer in electric because they find out that it's actually easier.
Right. Okay. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Well,
I can say last week we were very impressed because 18 months ago, when you done the report, I was a bit miffed because I didn't know what it was on about the points, the unit that would do with the big unit for the electric. So when we were down there, we see them all lined up like soldiers and the fair. Next time now we were having wall units points. I saw most of me on the points. I want to go through it all, the costs, Mark, you're right with the electric, but when you worked out the cost, a clutch for the lorry will cost over a couple of thousand. There was no clutch. Half the mechanics are not in the lorry, the vans. Driving ability is better. And again, the vehicles are going, they're getting more improved. And that's the difference. That's what we want. And with I think we did all the testing last year as well with the hills and everything else. So overall, I would say I was very impressed with everything we've done. And I got to be honest, that's the only report I read that I had my head around the first time. I didn't have to ask many questions because some reports I get wrong. So right, to be honest, I'm thinking about 3 days later to ask. You go baffled, but no, I was very good. And I hope to see us going points in the cemeteries. I think we need a point in the cemetery, something to support what we're doing, because you might have a breakdown, you might have get something in them areas, you know. So it's not as straightforward. People think you got to look at it, plan it. I'm be honest, the way you planned this, I think you've done an excellent job. I mean, thank you, Chair.
Does anyone else have any further questions? I got one or two. Johan, can you explain why you've used the available grant funding to construct the charging facilities first?
Well, replacing vehicles is relatively simple. When the vehicle expires, just replace it. But if you don't have the chargers, you can't use it. So I think having the chargers is essential before we can commit to purchase the vehicles, before we can even test them, and not just temporary chargers, because they have lots of options out there. You can have a diesel generator power charger, you can have portable ones also. But the way I created this charging infrastructure is I look at what we're going to need let's imagine today is 2030. What do you need to have all the vehicles electric? So that's what I got my answers, and I decided to go for chargers first.
Yeah, and there was the logic to that was, as you said, you need the charging infrastructure before you can have the vehicles, the right number of vehicles. Now, from our conversation last week, you said that some authorities haven't done it that way and are now sorry that they haven't.
Yeah, I read some articles in the press that some local authorities have to rent land to keep vehicles which they already replaced because they can use them. Same like some of them, they use diesel generators to charge the vehicles, which again is no logic in that. Might as well just keep the diesel vehicles in the first place for another 5 years and then replace them. So yeah, that's.
Thank you for that. In 6 says we want to replace all vehicles under 3.5 tons by 2025. Are we looking at lease or purchase of the new vehicles? Why is this method chosen, and what are the benefits of doing it this way?
Sorry, I'm not sure I understand what
You said we're looking to replace all the vehicles by or under 3.5 tons by 2025. Will we be looking to lease or purchase those vehicles?
We're looking to purchase them. Is the biggest saving we can do if we purchase them. Reason for that, there are grants available from Welsh Government for the difference between the electric vehicle and diesel. So to us as a community, we don't pay more than what we pay to replace a diesel vehicle. The difference will come from Welsh Government, so that will help us with the funding. Also, there are more options available for vehicles 3.5 ton or less. For HGVs, there are not as many models available when it comes to purchase them.
And are there any other financial benefits to doing it this way?
Yeah, well, financial and operational, because you don't deal with all the problems at once. Do it in steps, moving on from lighter vehicle, which they're easier to use, and not that's complicated, to heavier. And then when you get to HGVs, you already dealt with half of the problems already, so you know how to deal with them.
My final questions. Are there any other questions amongst the committee? Open it up then for comments, please. Ola?
I just wanted to say after the visit last week, and with Johan already having the infrastructure in place, I thought that was really thinking ahead. I think we are ahead of the game because of what he's done. So well done, Johan. And it was a great visit and every question was answered. So thank you.
Clive?
Yes, Chair. I think from everything, I mean, I haven't been on the this visit, but from what everybody's said who's been there and what we've seen in the report, what you're doing is working. It's saving the authority money, less maintenance, less on other costs, less pollution in the atmosphere, because that's an important factor as well. And I just hope that that the plan comes to fruition and all 128 vehicles are electric vehicles. Is it by 2030 when the last of the ones that we leases on, etc., have expired? So it's obviously it's working. That's all I need to say, Jeff.
Thank you, Clive. Any other comments? No.
Vehicles off-road or breakdowns. So there's also that benefit to the authority of the fact that the vehicles that have been purchased and are now very, very efficient are going to make the collection of waste as efficient. So that's a big bonus as well for the authority.
Definitely.
So very, very pleased with that as well.
The last ones? Then all it remains is me to say thank you to Johan on behalf of this committee for the site tour and some very interesting information that you provided us with. Also the excellent work you're doing regarding electric vehicles and related charging. I thank you on behalf of us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for the support, everybody, because I can't do it on my own. Thank you.
Can we leave the meeting if you wish? Cheers, Johan. Yes, you should all the best. Right. Thank you for that, everyone. Some interesting questions, and Owen was especially, the report was very good, as Bill said, but he explained everything perfectly as well. And that'll then move us on to item 5, this forward work programme. I'll open it out first. Any questions with regard to the FWP? Bill?
On the forward work programme, are we going to put recycling and on the Douglas site on for us to know, for them to come back to us now to see where we're going? Because we asked for 6 months climbing in, right? Yeah. No?
Yeah, that, as Neil said, that will be on the next cycle. Yes, we will look at.
Yeah, we can put it on now, can we? No.
Well, the next cycle will start April.
April, see.
May. So this cycle ends sort of Sorry, the last meeting in this cycle for Neighbourhood is
29th of
April,
April.
29th of April.
Yeah.
So we'll develop a new forward work programme after that then. So we look to add it on into that cycle.
Right, that's all I wanted to.
The difficulty with the recycling figures is they are quite far back in arrears. The time you can have indicative figures, but the proper figures are way they're like 3 months, 4 months behind time. Yeah, we need to be having it really. The what influence we can have, we can get the updates, but I think is an awful lot of very hard work needs to be done. And what we could do if we don't look like we're hitting the targets, I don't know.
And perhaps we've got to get comms in to see what they're going to do as well, because we can't just leave it down to the officers or the, like Paul. You got other people to do certain things.
I agree with you.
And ongoing. No, once every month, something like that. Perhaps you might have to do it every week for the next couple of weeks.
And I agree with you, and I hope that,
Right up all the time.
I hope the director and the cabinet member take note of what this committee has said about promoting recycling and the difficult position that we're in at the moment. Though all we can do is recommend, unfortunately. But yes, we will certainly look at the figures at a point in time, probably mid-year, June, July, August, somewhere around there. That'll give us May, June, July, or August. No, in August we're not here, so we're probably looking at September.
Yeah.
July or September.
Yeah.
But we will get it put back onto the
Put it in.
onto the forward work program. No problem with that.
Okay. One quarter, for example, on the rubble. He said, David Hughes, that it's starting next week.
I know.
Oh, that's the first. I think everybody here knew about that. So you've got to tell the public in advance. You've got to tell them crystal clear what the costs are, how they go about it, where you can put these bags, etc. So that needs to be told to them now. If it's starting next week, I haven't seen anything anywhere. And let's be honest, if they're talking about increasing the percentage, this one is really going to up it,
because of the weight.
Weight. I mean, the number of jobs, not I'm talking about, house building, but work that people have all through the county borough, where, I mean, I hired a skip. The workman filled it up in no time, and it was all, old. We have a new patio replaced and another one repaired. So there was a hell of a lot of stuff in there. But they should be doing that now. And if that starts working from week 1, that'll increase the figures for the quarter we're in now. And I would have thought by whatever the date's going to be in your Neil in the cycle, by about September, October, they'll have a really damn good idea as to whether this is taking off and whether it's working. So that's why I said, it's the end of January now. We're talking about 6 months or so from here. But I really can't understand why we are still not pushing this issue of the food waste there. It's ridiculous. It is. I mean, people I speak to, or regularly, all the neighbours, for example, where I am around, because I see all the bins going out there every week like clockwork. Why the hell are people not taking part? We should not be putting food waste in the bins. And when we've got, by the sound of it, 50%, 27,500 domestic properties, for example, and half of those are still not putting their food waste out. How long have we been doing this now? 8 years? I mean, it's so, Chair, I don't know whether you can follow this up, but they need to be told, the director and the cabinet member, that there needs to be emphasis put on this with the communication and telling the public that this cannot continue. And the fact is, we are looking at this with real robust scrutiny, and that's what we're here for.
I can only agree with you, Clive.
Paul said, once you arrange for a rubber collection, you pay your 48 quid or whatever, you have to come down here to get the bag.
You know,
No.
you're 20.
You need to, but you've
They
got
deliver
to
it.
get the bag yourself. Well, that's a bit of an obstacle already,
You
isn't it?
gotta check where the bag is going first. And they gotta check now, you gotta check now the comments at the chain.
Yeah.
Because have they got a license to put on the payment?
Yeah, I appreciate that, but if you, but actually asking people to go down and collect it themselves is an obstacle themselves, isn't it?
There is an issue there, which I presume they've looked at and sorted out.
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Because lots of these places, fortunately, I got to drive down into the house, to the garage, and that's where the skip was. Because if they put it on the road, they've got to pay for it.
Yeah.
And get a license.
Yeah.
But he was saying there, mentioned about putting it on the pavement.
I believe it's the same thing.
I think it's the same as a public right away, isn't it?
He did mention about the pavement. So there is an issue there. If you put it on the pavement, it's the highway. So straight away, we got a problem. Because these will be the queries that you'll get from the public. The public need to be told quite clearly how it's going to work. And, well.
But if you want a recycling box, Clive, or a recycling bag, a blue bag, a replacement, or even a food waste one, they would take it to your house. You haven't got to go and get
No.
It comes to the house. So why? I know the bags are bigger. I know, I know that we all know the types of bags you're talking about, but I can't see why they cannot be delivered to that person.
Especially when he said we'd go down to see where the bag is going to be put.
That's what he said.
If you're going to see where the bag is being put, take the bloody bag with you.
Well, I presume from what he said that after that is sorted out, Chair, the position of it, that they will deliver the bag. I mean, it's not going to.
No, he didn't say delivery. He said you have to pick it up. He said from. I thought he said you, but it's obviously 20.
Can you email Paul tomorrow? I'd clarify this because I'm understanding like that they deliver the bag because they got to check where the bag is going for.
But they would have a check on the suitability of the place was going, but they wouldn't be bringing the bag with them in. You'd have to go and get that. So if you're living in Triaris, now you got to drive up the Unit 20 and
check out first.
Or will they be looking at it on Google Earth or something like that? I don't know.
But you still got to go and get the bag.
No, check out first.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it should be collected. They're saying that this is being started next week, the week after, whatever. Just from our conversation now, it should have been to us long before now because there are wrinkles still in the system.
And what he said was, send the vehicle up there because you're not going to have workmen to lift this stuff. It's too heavy. As long as it's close, the vehicle can get as close there for the arm to pick it up. But I misunderstood the situation. It's going to be a bit ridiculous if they go down and pick the bag up. That's a two-way trip for a lot of people. And then if the household is not clear that if they put it up the road, they got to get a license and they pay for it. If the vehicle can't reach this, for example, if they haven't got a front garden and it's a terrace house, where are they going to put it?
How big would the vehicle with the arm be, Jen?
Oh, it's
the bigger one, isn't it? So
the higher we've got is a 1 ton lifting arm.
Put on a back lane? Go down the back.
The one they got now, depend. If it's Tyneside back lane, it might only just going straight out
Yeah.
and coming straight out. There's no turning. Probably will, but if they get a bigger vehicle where they can get a, I don't know, up to 5 ton on it, if you saying, something like that, then obviously that's not going to go down any
No.
back lane.
No.
But at the moment, the 1-ton arm can only lift close to the body of the vehicle. Like it doesn't, you couldn't put it out full reach
No.
and lift a ton at full reach of the arm. I've been watching them doing certain things. So I don't think really they're ready for this to go ahead.
I don't think so. I mean, the skip, when it came to collect it, when it was full, had to reverse to the top of the drive to lift the skip up.
So they'd,
I mean,
they'd be borrowing somewhere to a place where that bag would be then. If you're in a terrace house, it wouldn't be outside your house, would it? You would have to,
Yeah.
you would have to be somewhere.
No, they're gonna check out first.
Yeah, of
Right.
course, yeah.
And it's clarifying one or two things first,
Yeah.
because we just go around circles, Ben.
I think it's the procedure we like to see, isn't it? You know, like when we went to those that meeting about where the bins are going to be placed, there was a procedure which had to be followed, and we could see that at a glance how it would actually work. We're not sure how this works, which is hence the question you're asking.
Well, the chair made pertinent question. What about the licensing?
Yeah.
And I looked over here, and it was like as if, oh, we haven't thought of that really.
We will look into that. We look at location, collection,
Exactly.
pricing.
Distribution of the bag.
Yeah.
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 And also, I don't see where they should everybody got to do it online. If they're in town, they can call in the civic centre and book it in there. Because he said they only do it online.
I know there's no cash
No,
payments.
you do it online, they pay, but you pay with card, innit? You can do it there, they get paid there.
Well,
I don't
allegedly.
even know what payments can be made in downstairs anymore.
I tried to make a payment by card for items. It was about a year ago, and it was like a huge problem. I mean, I said, I haven't got the facility to pay by card, and the member of staff had to take me into her office to sort it out. So we can't do that properly.
And that's going to be clarified.
But we will look at that and get that included in payment method as well.
Yeah. Okay. Can you let us know how we get on with it? Because obviously they haven't thought this through properly.
Need will feed that back once we've had the info back from us. Further questions about the forward work programme? Oh, sorry, Paula.
Oh, right. I just wanted to say, we used the point about the comms because we brought this up when we were down the recycling side about using it for good as well, you know. But the majority of the public don't know how to target. I know it may be online, but not everybody's on there. And I think when we put comms out, it reaches a lot of people on social media as well. And I think they should be aware of the target. They should be aware of what we've got to achieve and why we're not. Yeah. But also the good points, as you said, Bill, down there, when something like this is happening, the electric vehicles, where we're going to be, where we're going, nothing seems to be put out there. I say this constantly on any area. We don't use comms enough to put the good out there or make the public aware of what's going on. We don't.
We don't get good information.
No, we don't. Thank you, Chair.
No problem. So, anything else to the forward work programme? I got one more, which is relating to what should have been the next scrutiny, is the flood risk management one. We've been asked to postpone that because of the work the managers need to do with regards to budget setting and looking to cut the budgets. So that looks like it's going back to April. It's April, isn't it? Yes, April the 29th.
Yeah. And then what's the agenda for that meeting?
Space management is the other one.
That's the March meeting, and then the April meeting then will be the flood risk management. I'm sure that'll be quite a debate, I think.
Sorry, Chair, I got to come back to comms. Can we discuss it? Because Paul said they got a place up on the bond now, recycling, for clear film and on plastic bags.
Yeah.
The special. Could we ask the director to apply for a grant again for these companies to go around collecting them if you've got money? Because the plastic is about the area is massive. Because it goes in the recycling bin and the wind blows all over the place. So not everybody's going to take it up to the bont, are they? Up to the recycling place. So can we just have a look at it? I'll say, any chance, can we apply for a grant again if they're doing it?
Yeah, there's not a problem with that. That's quite simple to ask. Speak to the director about that. No problem. We're done with Philip, sorry.
No.
We're done with item 5, scrutiny 6. Item 6 is scrutiny referrals. No referrals have been received.
Neil, about that traffic lights, Bombertown?
Yeah. I'll chase out a few
Thank you very much.
Do we think we addressed the recommendations in each report, and how have we added value? I suggest that the EV report was a brilliant report, and although we had a lot of questions, they were very well answered. But to be fair to Ewan, he had it all covered. Every angle, he was fully covered. And with the recycling, how have we added value? Apart from the questions that were asked, and some of them were a bit more difficult to answer. The issue around the rubble bags, I think we've raised so many questions now that I would be concerned if it went out tomorrow. So yeah, I think we've scrutinised that deeply enough and had what will hopefully be positive outcomes from it. Yep.
I thought afterwards perhaps I was a bit hard on them not to give the reasons as to why people weren't taking part in the recycling. But, you know, there was a document with this, which I did pick up a copy of it. But the reasons or the main reasons why people are not recycling, are not putting their food waste out, in my opinion, should have been in that report. Because that's what the press and public will read. They won't ask for a document, and there's about 40 pages of it. They won't go through that.
We know that.
The opportunity in that report. I did have a look at that because it was nice. It was coloured in. I like things that are coloured in, and I went right through it. And there are lots of things in there which you could pick out and say to people through comms, like this is what's been found. And there's a couple of pages in there which demonstrate why people, and some of the reasons are quite stupid. Oh, I don't like handling chicken. Yeah, it's eating all right, but afterwards I don't like handling sort of food after it's been eaten. And there are lots of things in there which we would laugh at, and perhaps the general public would laugh at, but they are the reasons that people are giving for not doing anything with their food waste afterwards. It smells, it's greasy and all this, like, you know.
KFC and chicken with their hands most times.
Yeah, but it's in that report, you know. But they could pick those out now and put them up on the website and say, look, these are the reasons. Is this you? You know, are you the kind of person that can't do this? I thought it was remarkable the fact that people don't like touching food. I think
because I can't put food in a small food bag in the bin. Every time I see it, I'm sick. Right, I go wrap it up in paper.
Right, but
right,
yeah,
genuine. And my partner says,
"Are you making the missus do it here?"
No, I do not do myself. I can't put it in. I'm fine. When I do it, I'm even. It says
No. Sorry, Bill, laugh. We get going.
The kind of information you want to get up is in that report.
Yeah, it is.
You just
It is.
grab. I'm sure RAP wouldn't mind you grabbing a bit and putting it out on your website.
Well, RAP would support that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't think you want to need to say to people, we're not going to reach these targets unless you come along with it.
Exactly.
More of you come along with it. Lots of you are coming along with it.
That's the point we were trying to make. Isn't it? Back to me.
Back into item 8. Feedback on scrutiny activities, any outstanding actions, feedback from workshops, tasks and finish groups, inquiry days, etc. We've all discussed the visit down to Unit 20. And just one more little one to add on is Neil has done a bit of work around AHP, not a bit of work, he's done quite a bit of work actually, looking into it, around AHPs. I think it's been sent around, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it hasn't been sent around, right? It will be sent around very quickly, very soon. I think it's Cardigan or Carmarthen. I've got an AHP recycling centre. What we're going to look at the benefits and possibility of going down there as a committee to have a look and see how they do what they do. But let us get a bit of information back on that first, and then it'll be disseminated between the committee, and we'll see whether it's worth the run down to Cardigan, Carmarthen, I think it is, to see what they do. Item 9, any other business deemed urgent by the chair? There is none. So on that note, I'll thank you very much for your participation and all your questions and everything today, and have a safe journey home. Bye-bye.